So today, my amazing guest is Linda Stinson from Bellamianta. I'm absolutely thrilled to be at Linda's headquarters here in Dungannon in County Tyrone. So Linda, thank you so much for being our podcast guest today.
No problem.
I have lots of questions for you. So today, what we want to talk about is just get an idea of where you started, how you've come to this stage in your business as a worldwide brand. But more importantly for us is what my listeners and my followers want to know is what has happened to you to go from where you are, not just in your business, but how you've transformed in your health, in your appearance, and everything in between. You had said something there before we came on air that we were talking, and congratulations on your 10-year anniversary.
Thank you.
I'm sure you could write a book about it already.
Definitely.
But we said about how well you're looking, and you're 42 years of age. Hope you don't mind me sharing your age.
No, it's gone.
But you said something really profound that when you look back in the photos 10 years ago, you looked 42 back then.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the catalyst for what this whole conversation is going to be about today. What has happened to you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, drive-wise, ambition in the 10 years, not just to excel in your business, but for your body. You're actually getting better. So each one of us and all my followers, and I'm very straightforward when coming to coach women because I coach women like you. I coach women who are in their 40s and their 50s, and they spend so much time and effort focusing on their business, on their careers, that the negative side effect is they've let their health go, they've let their weight management go, and that pulls on our confidence and self-esteem. So I suppose for me, we'll start off today letting you tell us about what 10 years has looked like for you, warts and all, because I know you're pretty honest, which is fantastic. That's right up my street. What has the 10 years, in all honesty, been like for you growing your brand?
So I kind of feel like Bellamianta has really only evolved probably in the past 5 years. I think the first 5 years of business, when I look back, was probably very traumatic for me.
And when you say traumatic, can we dig a wee bit deeper into that?
Yeah, so like the first year, whenever I started Bellamianta, obviously I come from a beauty background. I used to work with your sister Sandra in Benefit Cosmetics. And, you know, I had a real buzz, a real energy about starting the brand, and everything was going so well. You know, I started the brand. I had a business partner at the time. And, you know, everything was 100%. I actually was pregnant with my second child, Ruby. And I was feeling great about myself. I would say out of all the pregnancies that I've had, Ruby was probably the easiest. I think I walked out of the hospital in my size 10 jeans. And then, you know, we started to get like a bit of traction with Bellamianta and a little bit of success. And that's when things started to go wrong. So I was actually pregnant with my third child, Savannah, and the business relationship totally broke down. And it didn't just break down. There was a lot of things. I felt like I was in a very vulnerable place and I was being taken advantage of. And it had probably a massive effect, not just on my physical health, but also my mental health. But it also awoke a beast in me because I wasn't going to let that person beat me. So I basically went through a I'm not going to get into all the details about it, but there was things happening that shouldn't have been happening. And I went into a very, very long court battle that ended up in the high courts. And then I was awarded both businesses. Now, obviously, that individual was still a business partner, 50% shareholder. So there was a figure that there was a figure that was agreed by the court that I obviously had to pay. And then along with that, you had all the financial fees with the solicitor fees, you know, the accountancy fees. So at the very, very start of a business that was thriving and that was doing so well, I was hit with a massive obstacle because all in all, between the money to buy her out and also, you know, the solicitor accountancy fees, you were talking over 600,000. And this is somebody, I had started the business, I'd sold my car. I had basically would taken a small loan of like a small starting loan for the business of like £15,000. I didn't have that money. But I think I always say it's been one of the biggest learning lessons ever in life.
Yeah. And during that time, Linda, you would have had 2 young kids. You were still in the early stages of your business trying to get it off the ground. And in terms of your own physical health, your own mental health, how you eat, how you move, was that even any part of your mental bandwidth at that time?
That was forgot about. My whole focus was on, I didn't want, the other person was either trying to close down the business or wanted to take the whole business off me, which wasn't happening. But my focus was purely on making sure that I did not let this person beat me. It actually awoke a beast in me, I would say, because there's a thickness in me and I was not going to let her beat me.
Well, I think there has to be a thickness in you. There has to be to get to where you get to, because that plus many more obstacles are probably yet to come in all of our careers and our businesses. So for me as a coach and what we do, I know all my clients, we all experience that tripwire moment that, as you say, it either makes you or breaks you and your back's to the wall and you either lie down and you become a victim as per me, or you fight back.
Fight back, yeah.
I'm the fighting back kind of coach.
So am I.
I like pulling women up from the scrags and getting them up, dusting them off, going, right, let's go. So this is where I sort of wanted a conversation to move from here. So when things started to get back on track, Linda, there's been a fiscal change, obviously, with the business thriving, but there's been a significant change in your own personal appearance, and everybody's talking about it in a really good way. Everybody's saying how well you look. I know as a business owner and coaching business owners how hard it is to keep your standards with your physical, how you look, because I don't care what anybody says. We all want to look good. We want to look groomed. We want to look polished. We want to lean. We want to feel lean. When you were at that moment, what were you thinking then about how you needed to think about yourself, your health, your weight, your fitness, your nutrition, and your business? Where did things start to change for you?
I think for me, I always knew that the change was possible, because growing up, I've always struggled with my weight. I wasn't like some of my sisters who are just like, lean and can eat whatever they want. Yeah. But I realised that I could change it because I'd changed it before. So like back in my secondary school days, like I was very heavy. I would have got bullied quite a lot,
Really?
Congo, gorilla.
Really?
Oh yeah.
And you say, I always say when I'm speaking to people, we all have our own norm and our own perception of what overweight was. And, back in those days, you're quite a lot younger than me, but was there a norm in terms of an aesthetic that you felt that you needed to look like? And how far away from that did you feel you were?
I know, I was one of the biggest in the class. And
when you mean big, you mean were you overweight?
Yeah, very overweight, unfit. The rest of my, sisters and stuff were really into like football and stuff, and I just kind of hadn't found the sport that I kind of liked. So I think I really got into the gym then, and out walking, and I love swimming. And I then actually became a lifeguard. So it was finding the sport that I actually liked and the physical activities that I liked to do. And I kind of went away. I'd started to lose weight, say it was in about 5th year, and I'd started kind of on that journey, just even at home, exercising at home. Was it skipping? Was it out walking?
So just the physical activity, nothing else changed. You didn't change your diet.
I did change my diet as well.
Okay.
Oh, so I would have been one of these wee girls that would have had the 5 Alive, the Crunchy Bar, and the packet of coys, and then stuffed it down the side of the seat.
So a wee bit of secret.
Yeah.
Bit of a secret there.
Definitely.
And did you feel ashamed, Linda? Did you hide that because you felt ashamed about eating like that? Talk me through why, because I think that's really important. I want to pick on that. You wouldn't have eaten those snacks in front of other people.
Oh, do you know what? I probably would have too.
Yeah.
Let's just say I was kind of like the fat girl that looked confident from the outside.
Yeah.
But was probably not confident on the inside. So I just decided to completely change my diet, started reading up on nutrition. My sister was very, very good at her nutrition. So, You know, I started to look at like what she was eating, and just sort of like taking out a lot of like the carbs and the chippies and the Chineses, and you know, not frying chicken, and you know, eating more salads, and you know, laying off, you know, all that stodgy food, and just doing a lot more physical activity. And then I went to Dungannon College then. I think I didn't actually stay on at school to do my A levels. I went to Dungannon College instead. And that transformation of me from the end of fifth year to actually going into the tech that September was massive. And I remember people didn't even recognise me.
Really?
Well, plus I came with a whole new set of blonde dreadlocks. I looked like something out of that, you know, the band, was it Five or something? And I'd actually slimmed way down from probably about a size 16, you know, 14, 16. Probably I'd got down to about a 14 when I was in fifth year. I slimmed down to about a size 8, 10.
And do you think that's then you got the confidence to
Honestly, I was a different person.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I remember where I would have walked into somewhere and it would kind of maybe been hiding. I remember going into that tack that day and my mad bought me this gorgeous new outfit. It was these Miss 60 jeans and this red sort of crocodile top, because I always loved like edgy clothes back then. And I thought I was pure no miss walking down that corner. You know, and I remember thinking, this must be how people feel, you know. And I remember feeling great about myself, and you know, my personality came out of myself. So you know, I'd got to that stage after what had happened in Bellamianta, and obviously Savannah was my third child. I didn't really struggle with Ruby, for some reason. You know, I was kind of walked out of the hospital in my size 10 jeans, but with all, and I remember when I had Holly, because obviously I had Holly at 26. I really, really struggled with Holly as well. So when I had Holly, Jason had a really bad accident when I was 6 months pregnant. And I remember my sister coming to the hospital, and she came with food for me because I hadn't eaten that day. And I sat out in the car, and she turned around and said to me, "Do you realise you've just eaten 5 sandwiches there?" But I hadn't even realised I'd eaten them, because I was just like in such stress, and you know, the trauma of thinking, oh my God, what if he dies, and everything else. So I put on a lot of weight with Holly, but again, I lost it all. So after losing it whenever I was very young, I was able to lose it again after my first child and feel great about myself again. And then my second child, Ruby, it didn't really happen to me. I didn't really put on that much weight. But then again, with Savannah, obviously that whole trauma of going through the business partnership breakup and everything that went along with it, I realised that I must be a comfort eater.
Yes, that's what I want to touch on. So we can see a pattern there already.
Yeah.
Emotions,
Yeah.
eating. So what is the difference between now and then? I want to sort of trace back the last 3 years, because there has been a significant change in your appearance. But back then, what was your go-to when you were stressed? Did you have any sort of, did you even know how to internally, emotionally regulate yourself, how to deal with stress? Or was that your only go-to mechanism?
I think that was probably, you know, wine, Chinese, chippy, like all the bad things you probably shouldn't do.
Okay.
You know, and you don't look at in the mirror one day and think to yourself, oh, I put on a lot of weight. Somebody sends you a photograph of yourself someday and you're like, holy Christ, look at the size of me, look at the size of my face. Because it's even whenever you're living with somebody, you don't see them putting on weight. It's only when you see nearly a photograph of yourself. So I remember taking a photograph and actually putting it on my phone. And every time I went to like reach for the bad stuff, or I could feel myself go back into that pattern, I would like flick back to that photograph and I'm like, no, you don't want to go back to that. But also then I think that's very, very easy to say if you're in the right headspace. I think for me, I had overcome a lot of obstacles. I then rebranded Bellamianta. You know, Bellamianta then looked like the brand. It looked like what I wanted it to look like.
Did you have a vision in your head, Linda, did you have a vision back then of what you wanted? You know, in terms of Are you a goal-oriented person? Are you specific? Are you a visualizer? Do you see it? Do you feel it? Do you know exactly in specific detail what you want?
Yeah, I'm very, very like that.
Yeah.
Like I always think if I can't imagine it and I can't see it in my head, like I will set myself goals, but if I can't imagine it and see it in my head, then I don't ever think I can bring it to life.
Yeah.
It's even like with Bellamianta, I'm very, very involved in like the marketing, the packaging of things, the product development, especially with the packaging, you know, like I'll come up with the concepts for like the Christmas packs and stuff, and like Bellamianta is well known for our packaging. Like people obviously love the products, but they love the look and the feel of the brand. And when I went to do the total rebrand, I knew exactly the colours. I knew exactly, you know, how I wanted it presented on a shelf and what I wanted it to look and feel like. And I remember going to the graphic designer and saying, you know, these are the colours that I want. I don't just want it to be this block colour. I want this burst behind my logo that looked like a ray of sunshine. And that burst has kind of followed through, even though we have our logo and we have our different logos. There's certain elements I want stars, I want moons, I want like all these things. But, you know, I remember saying to her, I want to be able to look at my dressing table and see Bellamianta on it, and it has to look like Aladdin's kingdom.
I love it. I love it. That's specific.
Yeah.
That's very specific. And while you were thinking and dreaming up your own vision for your business, where did you come into this? Did you have a vision for yourself and how you wanted to look and feel, Linda?
I just wanted to be that happy person that I was before. So,
and what did that happy person look like? What did you look like?
Healthy.
Okay.
Fit, healthy, stylish, because you're able to wear the clothes that you want to wear. Because when you're not in your right weight, or you know you feel overweight, you know you tend to not dress yourself the way you normally would, because you're looking for like would it be stretchy clothes, or you're covering up parts of your body.
Does that affect how you show up in your business when you're not feeling 100% about yourself?
I'm the world's greatest pretender, so like you know I can put on a good face, but internally I know that it's not the best version of me.
Okay.
So I wanted to get back to being that best version of me.
And what do you feel? What are the things that you're more comfortable doing now? And how would you say, how important to you is looking after yourself, like your diet? With the way you look now, Linda, you're a perfect ambassador for female entrepreneurs in every way. The most important way for me is your happiness and your contentment. But I also believe that comes from your diet, your nutrition, and how you feel about yourself and your own confidence. Where are you now in the last few years compared to where you were? Talk me through like where you were after the time when you're going through the court battles. You know, you had young kids at home, the pregnancies, the weight. Talk me through where you, and you said back then you looked, when you were 32, you looked 42. Now you're 42 and you really look 32. You know, so you're almost aging in reverse. Talk me about your mentality around your diet, your nutrition, and where you see that fitting into the success of your business.
Yeah, so I think back then I was just work, because, you know, as I say, there was that thickness in me. I didn't want somebody to beat me, but I was left with a lasting phrase from that certain individual. Whenever, obviously, the court awarded me the businesses, was she'll be lucky if she even gets to 3 million. And again, that was like, oh, you watch me. So, but I think, like, I was working, like traveling. We didn't have a big team at Bellamianta.
What do them days look like for you, Linda? You know, I think people who are very successful in their careers, we see the highlight reel.
Yeah.
You know, people see your highlight reel. Talk us about the reality. Talk us about what a day in your life really looks like. What graft are we talking about here? Let's get real about that.
So back then, you know, I was up sorting out young children, you know, sorting out the house, coming into the office. You know, you could have had a 40-foot container landing that everything needed to be handballed out of. So you're standing there in the back of a lorry handballing everything out of it. You're then in packing orders. Then you're dealing with accounts, you're dealing with sales, you're dealing with, you know, new product development.
And you wouldn't have had the team that you had?
No. definitely not.
You
Very,
do this yourself?
very, very small team. And I mean, I still have a say in every department now in the business, but I have leaders within those departments, whereas I didn't have those leaders before. And everything was on my head. Might have been sitting 2 o'clock in the morning still doing emails, answering DMs, because it was me doing all the social media, you know, like making sure the customers, you know, got a response back, because that was really, really important to me.
When did you find that bringing that structure into your business, was there a specific mentor or somebody who advised you on how to grow your business? You know, because I think a lot of people, when they're starting out their business, you're everything. You're every department. You are every department because you have to be. At what point did you realise, shit, if I don't get leaders and if I don't get departments in place, if I don't get outsource all these things, I ain't going to scale, I ain't going to grow? Was there a moment or someone that helped you do that?
I think, you know, I always knew that it needed to be done. And, you know, my mum has now been in the business with me, it'll be 8 years. Clacor is in the business now 10 years. You know, Mummy's now the managing director, Clacor is the head of finance. I knew that those things had to be done, but the business wasn't in a financial place to actually get that type of talent in.
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't until I actually grew the business and, you know, grew the turnover, grew the profit, everything, that I could afford to bring those people in.
Yeah.
So it's very, very easy to sit and say, yeah, you know, you need to get all those people into your business. If your business can't afford it, then, you know, you can't make it happen. And like, don't get me wrong, there's still things that need to change in this business, but we have got a lot better. Our structure's got a lot better. But again, would I have been able to pay those people 5 years ago? Maybe not.
Okay.
Probably not.
And do you think now, so what has changed then in the last 3-4 years for you, Linda? You know, you're literally shrinking, you're getting smaller, so your weight has definitely dropped.
Yeah.
Things have changed. Everybody can see it. It's not like something, we can all see it. What has happened? Talk to me about the difference. What way do you think? What's your diet like? Let's get into the nuts and bolts of that.
I think obviously my children are older now. I mean, you know, you have Ruby's just turned 10, Savannah's 8, Holly has just turned 16. I'm over the hump.
Yeah.
You know,
I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for a lot of women, when they come home in the evening, you know, it's like, you know, homework, you know, cook the dinner, do the dishes, do the cleaning around the house, you know, get whatever laundry they have to be done, put the children to bed. They don't have any headspace. Do that work that has to be done in the evening as well for your own work. They've got no headspace for themselves at all. And when you have young children, that is very, very difficult. And especially in a relationship, in my marriage, there's 2 of us who own our own businesses. You know, Jason is a workaholic. He is a brilliant father. He's a very hands-on father. You know, he'll mop the floor, he'll do the dishes. But, you know, sometimes we were like passing ships in the night. You know, he was either working late or I was working late. And there had to be, something had to give, you know. So we kind of have, you know, a bit of an agreement now that, you know, if I am working late, that he will clean the kitchen, even though he would have done it anyway. But it's like, you know, man's standard of cleaning the kitchen. You still come home and the work's hot stiffed. Yeah, but like the main thing that used to annoy me was like using to clean the worktops. So I'm like, just clean the bloody worktops. But like, and I think, you know, we have a lot of help around us too. We have, you know, Jason's mother. You know, Mummy obviously lives a wee bit further away from me. But she's a great help. So for me, it was prioritising time for myself and realising that if I didn't prioritise time for myself, that nothing was going to change. So, you know, I made a conscious decision that, you know, I was going to take time for myself, going out walking in the evenings and also getting to the gym. If that had to be during work hours, then that was grand. Whereas before I would have been like, oh God, I couldn't leave work for an hour to go and do that.
It was like you locked it into your day.
Yeah. Now I prioritise that for me. And look, I'm not going to say that I'm perfect all the time. There was a stage there that I have to say I was really, really, really consistent. I think over the summer months, it can be difficult again because you've holidays or, you know, children's off school and you're running here, there and everywhere. But you try and fit as much in as possible. And one thing that I really, really changed was sitting behind a desk. You will never find me behind a desk.
Okay, you're always moving.
I'm always moving.
Your innate activity is higher than your daily step has naturally become higher, Linda.
I hate sitting behind a desk, whereas I used to sit behind a desk all the time. You will never, this is meant to be my new offices, and they were laughing. They were like, is there any point in us even putting a desk in it? Because like, never sit behind a desk. The very, very odd time I'll sit behind a desk, but it's probably to do online shop. Not the truth.
So talk to me, Linda, then about over the last few years. You've lost a lot of weight. How much have you lost?
I would say at my heaviest back then, when that whole court case was going on, I would say I was probably up to about 13 and a half stone. Yeah.
Really? And do you mind sharing where you're at now?
No, I'm like 10 stone now.
10 stone.
Yeah. But like I'm 5'9".
Yeah.
I mean 5'8", 5'9", something like that.
Yeah. And talk me through, so has that been a slow, steady transition, or did you sit down and think, right, okay, I want to lose 3 stone, this is how long it's going to take, and this is what I'm going to do? Did you have a plan of action like that?
I didn't really put I put a number to it.
Okay.
And I would say, sorry, my throat. I would say over the past, maybe 3-4 years, I'd lost a stone. I'd got down to like 12 and a half. And then 40 was like my goal point whenever I was turning 40. Sorry, I'm going to have to drink water.
So 40 then was sort of was that something you were thinking, this is a goal, I'm turning 40. It's one of those sort of pivotal times in our life. Did that catapult you into action then?
Big time.
Okay.
Because I remember looking back at my 30th birthday and I was in great shape. Like we went to like this clamping thing and all of us had cowboy hats, don't even ask me why. But I had a bikini top on me and like some little skirt or something. And my brothers and my cousins and a few of the Primrye boys actually all lifted me up and were holding me like this here. And I was doing this, you know, it was only a bit of crack. But I remember I had like this 6-pack here. And I mean, like I was in brilliant shape. And I think that was around the time I got married. I got married whenever I was 30. And like even my wedding dress, like it was like there was no forgiveness in it, to put it like that there, because it was just like satin. Like I remember I couldn't even wear underwear, but you know, because it was so forgiving. And I remember thinking, I want to get back to that there. So I think I consciously said, I think I'd go down to that stage maybe till about 11 and a half. And then I was like, right, that's it, big girl, come on.
Yeah.
Get your ass into gear.
Okay.
And let's get the rest of this weight off you. So I started then changing up the exercises that I would have done, incorporated a lot more weight training, which is probably I realised how weak I was.
And how many times would you have a fixed amount of sessions?
3 times a week.
Okay.
And it would have been an extra bonus if it went the 4th time.
Yeah.
But it was definitely the 3 times a week. And then I'd have been out walking as well. And just consciously trying to move a lot more. Do you know what I mean? And then kind of watching more so what I was eating. Like everybody knows I love a good party, and
that was one of my questions that's on here. How do you live the life that you live? Because you're on holidays, you're partying, you love your life, you engage in life. You're not parking this; you're in it right now. You're enjoying the journey.
Yeah.
How do you? So you're 10 stone now. How do you successfully maintain? Because to me, maintenance. You know, we talk about Sandra and our Sandra, coaching Sandra. This is Sandra. The hardest part of this is your maintenance. So how are you living this life right now? And loads of the questions is, how does Linda do it?
Yeah.
How does she party? How does she do all that work? How does she run that business and still manage to maintain your weight? Is there any couple of pointers you could give to your listeners or followers?
I give myself a wee bit of lead by. Like I'll always say, like I'm 10 stone now. I'm comfortable at 10 and a half. Once it gets past that, sort your life out, girl.
Let's wind it back in.
Let's wind it back in. So, you know, especially over the summertime, like, you know, I was in Greece for 2 weeks. You know, I didn't, you know, sacrifice anything. You know, I love my wine, love my food. You know, maybe tried to lay off the crusty bread, you know, because the ham and cheese.
Are you aware of calories, Linda? So how do you mentally frame this? Do you know your upper and do you know your limits? Have you ever like involved a strategy of calorie counting or any other method to lose your weight and keep it off? Is there, do you have something?
Mine's more in meals.
Meals, okay. Talk me through that.
So I'll say to myself, right, if I know I'm going out and I'm going to have wine, I will have a very small meal and one main meal, and that'll be it.
No starter, no dessert?
No.
Just a small main meal?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's decision making behind us.
That's kind of the way I balance it.
Yeah, because you don't rock up the way you do
Yeah.
and maintain a 10-stone frame at 5'9" without making clever and smart decisions around food. Is there any other part of your day, Linda, that, you know, that's different now to what it would have been when you were 13 stone? Is there, you know, how else, what other decisions around food is different?
I think lunchtimes and work, because we would fall into the trap here quite a lot of, like, you know, running, and you're running. The next thing you realise you haven't eaten. And it's
would that be long hours at a stretch for you?
Oh, yeah. So, and it could be like driving to Dublin, and the next thing you realise it's maybe 3 o'clock in the day and you haven't eaten. And then the next thing you're like just going for every stodge you can get.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, I'll either try and go for like something to tide me over. You know, could it be like a soup or, you know, half or up?
Yeah.
Until I actually get home to make a proper meal.
Yeah. But you don't catastrophize over them times, Linda. You know, I've got to eat. I've got to take something now.
You need to.
And you don't sound to me like a person who lives in that all or nothing mentality. You're either all in or you're all out. You've got a balance in your head.
Yeah.
There's days I'm going to get really good quality meals if I'm here and I'm organised. There's other days you're on the run. And I always say this to my clients. There's days you might have to stop on the Apple Green and go in and grab something. Yeah. That's not the making or the breaking of you, you know. It's what you do on average that counts, and it sounds to me like you're that sort of person.
But instead of going for the, you know, the chopsticks and the apple green, you know, you could go for your brown bread sandwich.
Yeah.
You know, as something to tide you over.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that I never go to the chopsticks, because let me tell you, if we've been in Dublin and we've been out the night before, chopsticks will definitely be hit.
Yeah, because you've got that hangover urge on you.
Yeah.
And again, you know, that doesn't faze you, Linda. You know, you've clearly got a decent relationship with food that doesn't like, oh, I've ruined my diet, I've had chopsticks, I've had a Chinese, I've had chicken curry, fried rice and chips, and I'm going to go home now and eat shite all night because
I realise that I'm more of a savoury person than a sweet person. So probably my biggest killer would be crisps.
Right.
So instead of me depriving myself of those crisps, I'll have corn snacks in the house, which are less calories.
Corn or
do you know, like Quavers?
Oh yes,
or what?
Yes, the low calorie crisps.
The low calorie crisps. I'll have them in the house.
Yeah,
and I'll not deprive myself. Like I'll eat a bag of them with my glass of wine.
Yeah. You know? And what is it like? Do you have like a typical day? I get so many questions that people always want to know, what is she eating a day? And I'm going, Linda isn't what she eats in a day, she's what she does on average, including the wine and the meals out and the corn snacks and the, you know, you're an average of that. So give me a standard day for you, Linda, and then give me a weekend day, like a Linda out for days. Give me a standard day, what it would look like for you in terms of how you eat.
Believe it or not, probably my diet at the weekends is probably more standard than my diet during the week, because I'm always running late. Like, it's just me. I'm like, you know, so I find during the week I miss breakfast quite a lot. So it could be that trip to Apple Greens to get, like, you know, like, say literally like an orange juice or else a coffee, or you know, half a croissant to keep me going until I get somewhere and get a bit of lunch. Yeah, you know, later on in that day.
And what would you order if you were ordering in a restaurant? Are you considered in what you order, or do you order what you want, or do you go for the healthy option?
No, I would consider what I order. Yeah, because I was never a big meat person. Yeah, now, don't get me wrong, like I will eat a steak, but it wouldn't be my favourite meal. Okay, what
would be your go-to if you were to eat in a restaurant?
Like, I love chicken. Yeah, I'm like very plain. Do you know what I mean? I love fish. Like, you know, I love, like, you know, prawn dishes. Love Caesar salads. I love chicken wings. Not gonna lie, like, they're probably one of the worst things you could eat, but I love them. Tommy's chicken wings. But if I know if I'm going to get those chicken wings, that's what I'll have. Yeah. But I won't have anything else. Yeah. And again, it's a good source of protein too. Yeah. you know, and I know that I haven't eaten much protein that day, so that's my protein intake for the day.
Okay. And so talk me then, give me, if you were to pinpoint the main differences between 13 stone Linda and 10 stone Linda, let's get down to the nitty gritty. What is it, Linda?
I'd say it's probably feeling more confident in yourself, more energy, not as lethargic.
Because you're not lugging that
weight behind you.
Yeah.
Being able to show up and being the best version of you rather than the semi-okay version. And I think once you feel like more confident in yourself and you have that get up and go and that drive, people around you feel it.
What is your, are you aware of you as a leader of the business and your impact on other people in your workplace, the culture in your workplace? I'm going to talk about your kids in a wee minute, but, you know, do you have a culture within this workplace around health, well-being, showing up? You know, I'm interested to know that. Like, I know we got a tour around your kitchen there.
Believe it or not, this used to be the gym.
And here?
I'm here.
And do you still have a gym here?
When this was a warehouse and stuff, this here actually used to be a gym. But then they were great for using it for a while, but then they never used it. But obviously now this is not a warehouse anymore. It's all been converted into offices. But a lot of the girls out there on their lunch break, they all go for walks. So they do.
Very good. And
to get their steps in, you know.
Yeah, well, that's good. And in terms of what they eat, do you have like set meal times? Do the girls get breaks? Do they get a lunch? Do they bring their lunch in? What's the culture around food in here?
Yeah.
As a Janet, because it's mostly, you know, it's mostly female employees.
Well, they all bring in their lunch and they all make their own lunch. Like we provide, you know, bread, bagels, like, you know, cheese, ham, whatever. There's always that stuff, you know, the basics in the fridge. So somebody's forgot their lunch or something there. But mostly all of the girls bring in their own lunch. So they either cook it on the cooker or in the microwave. And then there's someone that like to go out for a walk. And then you have the Friday crew that like to bring in the chippy.
That's what I was going to say. Do you have a day where you say like you bring in food or?
Yeah, but they try and avoid that during the week.
Yeah.
So Friday is either shambles or Big Mac, Big Mac's day.
Yeah. And in terms of your weight now, what is the difference between your life now around food and your decisions around food at 10 stone compared to where you were at 13 stone? If you were to dial it down to the top 3 changes and the differences, what is it, Linda?
I probably make more conscious decisions when I'm out in restaurants.
Is there a lot of your time? How much of your eating time would be out as opposed to you cooking at home? And that's percentage wise?
It just depends on the week and where I am.
On average, over your months of your year, how much of your time is spent lifting a menu and choosing rather than you cooking at home? Would it be a lot?
I'd probably say 70% at home and 40% or the other 30% out.
Okay.
I would nearly rather get home and cook something.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
but obviously there's situations where they can't.
Yeah.
Now, if you're to take this summer,
Yeah.
I would say it's probably the opposite.
other way? Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, I find even like we were in Greece and like obviously the food is so healthy over there. So it's very easy to make those healthy options. You know what I mean? Now, when I was in Ibiza for my sister-in-law's 40th, wasn't maybe so easy to pick those healthy options because it was.
But you enjoy
a party holiday.
But you enjoy that week. You don't catastrophize it.
No.
You come back and you're just back. You're back to your normal routine again, and it's business as usual, and back into your normal eating routine. And
you have to enjoy life.
100%. I totally agree with you. And this is for me as a working woman. A lot of us are conditioned to be on the diet or off the diet.
Yeah.
And you're trying to coach women. There is no on or off. There's just living.
Yeah.
And, you know, for instance, summer months are tough because, as you say, your routine has gone 70 eating out and 30 eating out. Whereas a lot of women sit with a menu in front of them and they think, well, this is a special occasion. I'm eating out. It's part of our lifestyle now, Linda.
Yeah.
I know probably 50% of my time as well, if you take it over the year, is eating out. And you have to have a bit of manners when you're eating out if you want to lose weight and keep it off.
Yeah.
You can't order starter, main course, dessert, cocktails, wines, and, you know,
and
all of the sides.
I find on holidays, for some reason, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the heat or my appetite is definitely suppressed at holidays.
Yeah.
Now, as for the appetite for wine, definitely not suppressed.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but and I do find on holidays, because you know you're in these great locations, you do a lot more walking.
Yeah.
Like I love swimming. Like I'll never be out of the pool. Like I love getting into the sea. You know, so you're doing a lot more swimming. You're probably doing a lot more physical activities than you actually realise. Like even when we were in Ibiza, you know, for my sister's 40th, like we were dancing to 6 o'clock in the morning and then walking the whole way home. So you're burning off a lot of calories.
Yeah.
Even though you might be eating all that crap.
And I think as well, but when a lot of women are on holidays, I know for me as well, I'm out of my home environment. My home environment is my Achilles heel. That's my kryptonite, is when the snacks are at home.
Yeah.
And if I'm working from home and they're there and I see the kids with them, I want them.
I'm the same.
Whereas when I'm out of that environment, I actually end up probably coming back from a holiday leaner because I am not snacking as much.
Yeah.
And, you know, I find a lot of women who are, you know, in careers, they're eating out a lot more. Their damage isn't done on holidays. Their damage is done in their everyday environment. And those little environmental things, you know, like you walking into your kitchen and you wouldn't think of something, and then you walk in, you see somebody with it and you think, I see it, I smell it, I want it now.
Yeah.
You don't need it, but you want it. You know, it's those environmental cues.
It's like out of sight, out of mind.
Yes.
Because when you're in a hotel room, you don't have access to those things.
Oh.
Now, and even like, don't get me wrong, when you're on a villa, like we'll do a shop, but like, you know, you consciously don't do a shop of a pile of crap. You're probably like looking at all like the fresh melons and the fruit and everything.
Or inclined towards their sort of healthier foods.
But like the bags of Cheetos do get in there too.
I think that's very normal. And I think, you know, a lot of women are conditioned from years and years of being on the diet or off the diet that they're bad foods and good foods. And you're trying to say it's okay to have the Cheetos. It's okay to have the glass of wine. If you look at your life, it's not about a snapshot of a day. And this is what I hate about what is she eating a day. Linda doesn't look like, if Linda tells you what she's eating a day, it could be a good day, it could be a day where she's out.
Yeah.
It might not necessarily represent who Linda is on average.
Exactly.
You know, for me, what I'm trying to impose in this conversation with you today is what decisions around food took you from 13 stone to 10 stone? What decisions around food are you making right now that keeps you looking and feeling the way you're looking and feeling? And, you know, as you said there, it's going holidays, enjoying yourself, but not catastrophize, not knowing, I'll be back home, I'll be fine. And, you know, do you find that when you come back from holidays, you always feel a wee bit bloated anyway?
Yeah.
The days you're back.
I know, you'd be grand.
Yeah.
But I think also, you know, things like even like the ice baths and the saunas and, you know, things like that to take the swell off you. Like I enjoy that. But I think one key to feeling good, looking good, and, you know, keeping yourself in that mind frame is your own personal happiness.
Yes.
If you're content and you're happy with, you know, your relationship, you're happy with, you know, your friendship circles, you're happy with, you know, the people around you and how your work-life balance is going, there's a lot to be said about happiness, because I think if you're happy in your own self, everything else does follow a lot easier, you know. And for me, I would definitely say in the past, you know, obviously Bellamianta has had a rebrand, the business has grown. I finally feel like the business is where I envisioned it and is heading in the direction that I really wanted it to go. I have my children nearly half reared, which is like sometimes, you know, you're looking and you're going to yourself, oh God, you know, this is nearly half over. But it's also a good thing too, because it gives me a wee bit more freedom. You know, I'm happy in my relationship with my husband. You know, he's very, very good. He doesn't stop me in my tracks. He's a very supportive husband.
Yeah.
You know, and when I first started going out with Jason, he was the one that had the big business and all. And I remember thinking, no, this can't happen. Like I need to be in a level playing field with this man. But I know other women in business, sometimes their husbands don't like that. But he's the total opposite. He's just like...
There has to be that side of you, Linda, because, you know, I always say the most important relationship you have in your life is obviously with yourself, but you need a partner who is on the same alignment as you. And, you know, a lot of us listening to this won't have that.
Yeah, I know.
but it's an integral part to success in any part of your life. As you said, you know, you need a husband there who's going to support you, let you be you,
Yeah, exactly.
warts and all,
Yeah.
but still love you, but support you, encourage you, and push you, because a lot of people don't have that because they see that as a threat.
Like
But-
even in my downtimes, like whenever I'm like, oh, jeez, you know, there is times where I've been like, I don't know if I can go on like this, and he'd be like, catch yourself on, you can do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's
You
like,
need that, Linda.
get up out of your bed right now,
Yeah.
you know, but also I think rest, especially when you get a wee bit older, you think you can go like a 30-year-old, but you realise, yeah, I can give a 30-year-old a run for the money, but I'm going to suffer for it afterwards. But it's really important. Sleep for me is really, really
Tell me
important.
about your sleep, Linda.
It can be bad, but I'm a crash and burn person.
Are you
Always
90 mile an hour and then down for 2
Yeah.
days and you revive yourself and you're at it again?
My father is exactly the same. So
Tell me what that looks like for
it
you.
must just be the nature of the beast. You know what I mean?
So you're flat out.
So I'm
90 mile an hour.
go. You know, I could survive on 4 to 6 hours sleep a night. Sometimes, you know, last night I got 6.5 hours sleep, you know, after I'd done my emails and stuff. But like, then I will literally crash and burn, and I will be in bed for 48 hours
Really?
for 2 days, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, I've always been like that.
How often would that happen to you in a year?
Maybe every couple, could it happen every couple of months? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But I am that person, and I know when it's coming because it just happened to me there.
Yeah. Does Jason see it coming?
He knows,
Yeah.
and
Happens
like
to me too.
he leaves me alone.
Yeah.
He, like, you know, he'll not be like,
Are you
"Jeez."
short tempered? Would you be short tempered? Would you be cranky, tired, irritable?
I just hit the sack, and that's me.
What do you mean by hit the sack?
Like, literally, it's just like I'm like a zombie, and then I'll hit the bed, and like literally, I remember it happening to me whenever I first started going out with Jason. And my glands swell up, my throat goes, and that's why I'm saying I'm just recovering from it.
Yeah.
Because like last week we had, obviously I've been so busy. I was just back from Ibiza. I was back to work. We had a wedding on Thursday night. We had the Bellamianta party on Friday night. I stayed down in Belfast on Saturday night because all the Waterford ones were up, and like they travelled a long time, you know, to come up. It's just been a really busy 4 weeks, and I could feel myself on Monday.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and the voice really started to go. It was starting to go on Friday, and I was using the throat spray. On Saturday, there was no voice. On Sunday, it was the same. And then Monday, I just crashed and burned.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you need 2 days or an hour just to get back up.
Even sometimes one day does it.
Yeah.
But like, if it's bad, you know, it'll be, I could crash on a Sunday and maybe not get up to Tuesday morning.
Yeah, and just sleep. Like,
Yeah,
what does that look like? So when you say crash, what does that look like?
I don't wake up.
You just sleep all day?
Sleep. Now, I could wake up to go to the bathroom and literally go back to bed. And I remember Jason always laughing. He goes, see, when you do that, you must feel well skinny when you wake up.
Because you've been asleep for that long. You haven't eaten?
I haven't eaten.
You just sleep all the time?
I would literally sleep, yeah.
That is unreal.
But that to me is my recovery.
Yeah.
And I have to do that. And I have learnt, you know, even Jason would say to the wee ones, to waken your mother up, you know. But I've learnt that I have to do that for my body to recover, for my mind to recover, for everything. You know, it's when you're physically exhausted but mentally exhausted, and your social batteries are just dead.
I look at you on social media and I honestly think, how does that woman do it?
She must say that to me all the
How
time.
in the name of God does she do that day after day, week in, you know, like I know the boxes I have to tick to do what I have to do, but I'm looking at you thinking, she's like a Duracell bunny.
I know people say.
And then does your batteries just die?
Just go on, yeah.
Okay.
But I think I'm just that type of a person. I'm like, high energy, go. You know, I'm a social butterfly. Like, I love to socialise. I love being around people. I love being around positive people.
Yeah.
And like, I'll take so much from them. Like, I love coming away from somebody and feeling like, you know, not like they've drained me with energy.
Radiators and drains.
Yeah, they've actually, like, you know, filled up my cup in a way, thinking, geez, I could do this and I could do that.
Yeah,
And
inspiring you.
yeah, inspiring you. And like,
elevating your thinking, Linda.
it's weird where you actually get inspiration from.
Yeah.
And I'm not, like, Mummy definitely thinks that I've got ADHD, and I probably do. You know, I've just never probably set out to be diagnosed with it, but like my mind never stops. It jumps from one thing to the next. And like when I'm driving down the road, say with my husband, I don't even know that I've gone silent, and I could be silent for an hour and he'll just start laughing. He'd say, what are you thinking about now?
What's a con?
And I'm like, what? And he's like, you literally haven't spoken like the last half an hour of an hour. And I'm like, haven't I? And he goes, you're having about 20 million conversations with yourself, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, you love to get into my mind and know what I'm thinking. And he was like, no, I actually wouldn't.
Yeah. And in terms of all of this, Linda, you know, how important do you feel your diet is in all of this? Does your diet reflect, does it feed into your energy in any way? Is there things that, you talked about radiators and drains there, is there things that make you feel good and things that drain you? Do you find that there's a correlation between your diet, your food, and your energy?
Yeah, because like there's periods where I haven't got to the gym, you know, I'll feel it because I'll feel the slackness in my muscles.
Yeah.
I'll feel like I'm nearly getting like weak again. But also if I have eaten nothing but crap,
Yeah,
then I'll feel sluggish and like even, you know, my digestive system isn't great. You know, like I love a roast dinner, like I love a roast beef dinner, I love a chicken dinner, but that to me is wholesome, good food with plenty of nutrition.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, you know, growing up in the house that we grew up in, obviously there was 7 children, you know, mummy is a great cook and she always talked about, you know, nutrition and feeding your body and getting the vitamins into your body, which sometimes I was never great at, but I have become better at. So even when I feel like I'm getting sluggish, like last night, I went and made like a stir fry with loads of vegetables in it and loads of spices and garlic and chili and turmeric and everything, you know, because I know that's gonna feed my body and give it the vitamins that it needs in order for me to recover from how I was feeling.
Yeah.
You know,
You have that awareness now, Linda?
yeah. And
is that something that has developed over the years, the awareness of what you put into your mouth and how you move your body affects everything in your life?
Definitely, because I am not the best person at taking vitamins. So I have to get it through my food.
Yeah.
You know, and I know in a week, if I have been eating nothing but stodge with like no vitamins, you know,
No colour,
no protein, I know how that makes me feel.
Yeah.
You know, even eggs, just even like a poached eggs with toast and, you know, like salads or stir fries. Like I love stir fries, but I also love making like cottage pies at home.
Yeah.
But in that cottage pies, I'll put carrots and peas and onions, you know, I'll try and get a bit of veg in there.
Yeah. You've got the balance right there, Linda.
Yeah.
And I think more importantly, your mindset around food, you know, you're totally, completely geared in and clued in as to how it makes you feel, which is really, really important.
Yeah.
I suppose for me now, we'll wrap up. I know I talked there about your kids. You're a massive inspiration to your girls. And how do they see themselves as part of your business, or do you think they'll move in their own different trajectory, Linda? How are they? Are they part of the cooking at home as well? Do they love all of that?
Well, Holly, to be honest with you, Holly's kind of like on her own wee fitness plans.
She's that age now.
She'll go off and make her own things.
Yeah.
The wee ones are definitely more.
They're hilarious.
I know they're not.
They're hilarious.
Experimental. But then Savannah, you have the youngest. Like all she wants is a belly buster, spuds and gravy and mince. Like literally, I have to cook like a separate dinner. She would live on spuds and gravy and mince.
So home cooked. Wholesome food.
Oh yeah. Like Weetabix, I call them belly busters because she wants her Weetabix, her porridge, her pancakes, her spuds and gravy and mince. That's just the type of child she is. She won't eat chips. She won't eat chicken nuggets. Whereas you have Ruby, who honestly would try nothing for years, who now will experiment in different foods like spicy noodles or chicken, and you know she's really finding her flavors.
Yes,
but you know, probably very similar to me as a young age, is probably going to struggle a wee bit. You know,
and how do you handle that as a mum? I think you know, in terms of your children's relationship with food and you know your experience, how do you handle that as a mum?
You have to handle it very delicately, you know what I mean? And And I think as long as they're healthy, they're gonna learn from their own mistakes anyway. As long as they're healthy and they're happy and they're out playing sports, which they do, like they play gymnastics, camogie, football, and they're not lying like a couch potato, you know, on an iPad all day, which they don't. So sometimes there is just certain children who are more prone to putting on weight, especially when they're going through, you know, puberty and stuff. And, you know, you have to be very sensitive about the way that you address it, especially if you've got younger children and you're telling them that they can have the ice cream or that they can have that. So, you know, you have to delicately, you know, address it in ways.
You need a psychology to unpack all of that in itself. And look, Linda, for the next, we've 10 years done, and you know, I'm sure you could write a book about it. What does the next 10 years look like for you? You're 42 now.
I know.
I'm sitting here, I'm 10 years ahead of you. So what does the next 10 years look like for you?
Well, I always say, and I've said this for quite a while, I probably have another 10 years left of me going at the rate, the pace that I'm going at now. So I have set myself a goal for basically, at 40, I set my goal for the next 5 years. And at 45, I will look at those goals and see which ones I haven't achieved and set the goals for the next 5 years. So for me, like, obviously I want to grow Bellamianta, grow Iconic Bronze. I'm self-funded, have been self-funded up until now. There is probably going to be a stage where I may have to bring some sort of investment into this business, which I'm aware of, but I've held it off up until now because I wanted to be in a position of power rather than a position of weakness.
Yeah. Did you learn from your previous mistakes? Is that something that's sticking with you?
Honestly, see what I've went through in the past 10 years. It's probably given me an accountancy degree and a law degree, but not by actually...
Yeah, by default.
By default, you know what I mean? It's learnt me a lot. And, you know, I do listen to a lot of other, you know, sort of podcasts. I've read a lot of books and other entrepreneurs and, you know, learned where they've made their mistakes as well. And learning from my own mistakes that, you know, this business is my vision. And in order for me to achieve that vision, I have to be basically the captain of the ship.
Yeah.
You know,
the captain of the ship.
But when you have too many captains in one ship, that's whenever things can get lost.
Yeah.
So as long as, you know, if I do bring, you know, say investment in that, you know, I know what I'll want from that. You know, I'll want somebody who maybe brings something different to the table that I don't have that skill set. Because like I always say, even when we're employing somebody in Bellamianta, I want to employ somebody smarter than me.
Yeah.
Because like I don't know everything. And like I'd be learning from some of the young ones and I was thinking, Jesus, isn't that great? You can do that, you know. So it's maybe getting somebody that has a lot more experience than me that can actually help me grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's probably the next 10 years for Bellamianta. And, you know, hopefully the next 10 years I'm still maintaining what I'm maintaining now.
Yeah, but I was going to say, what's your own personal health and fitness goals for the next 10 years?
Funny, I was having this conversation with my friends the other day and I says, hopefully in the next block of years they bring out a pill that you can take that reverses aging and that stops aging. I actually, you know, people say to me, like, what do you get done to your face or what, you know, procedures or whatever.
I know we could have another entire podcast about that.
And like, I'm very, very open and honest. Like I get Botox. I got fillers, I think, was it 5 years ago? And that's the picture that I was talking about where I looked at and my face was massive and it was awful. And I got them dissolved and I swore never again in my life because it was terrible looking. I want to look like me at the best.
Do you not think everybody looks like clones nowadays? There's that much work done. There's no individual.
I think they're moving away from it though.
God, I hope so, because you look at some people and I think everybody just looks.
I think people are definitely moving away from that big filler overfilled look. I think they've realised that, you know, looking like yourself and a natural version of yourself is a lot better. So like I've been going to the girls down in Newry and Unique Aesthetics, and I've been getting a lot of like hydrofacials done.
And how often would you get those done, Linda?
To be honest with you, I've only really started on a skin journey with them in the past, I'd say in the past 2.5 months, because I felt like I was getting a lot of slackness around here.
Yeah.
And I felt like, my skin was it was losing that glow.
Yeah.
And I was starting to get a little bit of breakouts. I suffer from adult acne whenever I was like in my 20s, and it was horrific. And I was like, hoping that it wasn't coming back. I think I was just going through a wee bad period with my skin. So they've really, really helped me out with it. And then I got, obviously I've been getting Botox for the past, I don't know what, 20 years, I'm not going to lie. But I got that polynucleotide.
Yes.
I got it done.
That sounds amazing.
And I have to say, it's very, very
Game
good.
changer.
It's really good. I could see a big difference in my skin with that. So I always say, I'll try anything once.
I think it's getting that look where you look like you're just well rested. You look fresh without looking different. You just want to look a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
Fresher, well rested version.
Good skincare routine is always good. But let's be honest with you, skincare is only going, skincare products that you put in your skin is only going to do so much.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you might need a wee bit of extra help. Yeah. And like, if the extra help is there.
How important do you think your diet change has been to your skin glow?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, like if
you notice it, do you find there's a correlation, Linda, with what you're eating and your rest, your recovery in your skin?
Even when you're eating crap, that's going to come out in your skin.
100%.
And I would say probably the reason why I was getting spots and stuff was because I was on holidays and stuff. So,
But you can't be perfect all the time.
No, you can't.
And if you're looking for that, you're falling into that perfection procrastination.
No.
You can't be perfect. It's impossible. There's nobody perfect.
Yeah, the one quote I heard one time, and I thought, geez, that's actually comparison is faith of joy.
Yeah.
And I feel like back then, whenever I first started in the beauty industry, my own business, I did tend to compare myself to like other beauty entrepreneurs who were like models and bloggers, and and I had to realize that stop comparing yourself to them, because they're not you.
Yeah.
And they could be looking at me thinking, Jesus, I was like her. And years later, I've had some of them come up to me and say to me, I've admired you for so long, and what you do. They weren't admiring me for how I looked. They were admiring me for what I was doing.
Yeah, what you're achieving.
And, what I was saying and how I came across. But me, I was like, just I look like a model, you know what I mean? So you have to shift your mind, your mindset.
You have to be authentic. You can only be you.
Yeah.
It's a hard job to have to do a day's work, and then to have to do another week's work pretending to be something that you're not.
Exactly.
And portraying this perfectionism that is so inauthentic.
I know.
And it comes across. You can see it. And that's why I love you, and I love watching your kids, because your own's going on in the background the same way. It's not this picture perfect highlight reel with you.
Oh, sure, I can't even go on stories and they're all
hilarious.
And behind the camera, God knows what they're going to come out with. Sometimes I actually have to cut the story off. I'm like, I can't even bust that up.
But that's reality. And I think that's why, part of your success is you.
Yeah. Well, I've only really in the past couple of years come to the forefront of the business. And
was that a decision you decided as a team that you had to do, Linda, to grow the brand?
I think my sister Michaela was constantly in my ear, and I realised that the industry's changing, that people love to see the founder stories. They buy people.
Do you have an exit plan, Linda? Do you have an exit plan for this business? Do you know what you want 5 years, 10 years, or are you going with the flow?
I think every good entrepreneur has to have an exit plan. You can't do it forever. And there has to be that time where either your business is sellable, but for me, I still probably want to stay on in the business, because I never not want to not work, even if it's just in a creative role as a creative director. But yeah, I think if you're a smart entrepreneur, you will have an exit plan.
And do you have an age around that?
Well, I did say the next 10 years.
So 52. So maybe you'll be in this seat here then, maybe interview people 10 years time as a business mentor.
Maybe, but I don't think I could ever not work. I'll have to have some other project to work on.
Yeah.
And I think even, within saying that there, I could be wrong. My daughters could come up the line and they could say, I really want to take over this business and I think I could make a real good go of it. And if they did and they had the skills and the want and the desire, you know, it's definitely something that I would definitely think about. You know, Holly is obviously the face of Iconic Bronze now. She's, you know, involved in the business, coming in, making content. Like, she's great at TikToks. Ruby actually is the one who says that she's going to take over.
She's your youngest?
Yeah, she's the middle one.
Oh, the middle one.
Who's kind of like the image of me. Holly has her heart set on doing something in fashion, and owning her own type of business in like fashion design. She makes a lot of her own clothes. Ruby just wants to be the boss. She wants to take over from me. And Savannah's too young, I think, but she is a character. I think she just wants to be a world-class gymnast at this age, you know.
Love it.
But, you know, I never try and force the children into doing what I've done or running my business. I'd rather them go and follow their own dreams and, you know, make their own mistakes. But if their dream is to do something like this, then of course I'll help them out.
And what would your number one tip be to your kids?
If you can't stop thinking about it and you have a burning desire and a flame that can't be put out, then just do it.
Brilliant. Linda, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks.
Thank you.